So I'll go ahead and kick things off now. We're about 1 minute past the hour. So thank you all so much for joining. My name is Lauren Malay Goveo, and I'm the Director of Marketing and PR here at Freestar. I am so excited that you're here. 2022 audience development is a big initiative for us. And as you might have seen in your newsletter, which we hope that you're reading and enjoying, we introduced Lindsay Valdez, who is here also on the screen, hopefully for you. She is our Associate Director of Audience Development and Optimization. So this workshop is just the beginning of things that we're going to be doing in 2022 to help you grow your audience and therefore grow your monetization bottom line. So the first thing I will mention is this is being recorded, not for public consumption, but it is being recorded. So if you're not familiar, or I'm sorry, not comfortable going on camera, that's totally fine. We'll give you an avenue to ask your questions to Lindsay after the workshop. So, but if you are comfortable, we'd love for you to put your questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat throughout the session, and Lindsay wants this to be a really interactive conversation. It is not a presentation, it's a conversation. So anyways, without further ado, I'll introduce Lindsay and I'll go ahead and turn off my camera. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Lauren. Hi, everyone. This is so exciting.
Hello.
Hi. Exactly what Lauren just said on keeping this a discussion, interactive, come on screen or just speak up. But the idea is certainly for this to be just the first of many discussions around audience development and traffic trends, SEO, a huge pillar of audience development, and many other educational and kind of learnings that we have planned for you this year. As she said, Lindsay Valdez, and this is month 1 for me at Freestar, as well as it being, I've already spoken to some of you, but my first group presentation here, and I couldn't be more excited. So audience development at Freestar, Lauren also touched on just a little. They have previously, as you know, focused so much on creating the best ad tech, the best ad monetization for publishers, and really invested in that. Secondly, to really the company and the resources that you have access to every day, from your account manager to yield manager to all the different people internally that kind of support. And then for the first time, really doubling down in this next year to an added value service of audience development. I am coming from another ad monetization partner where I spent the last 3 years working on with publishers on traffic growth, SEO, these same things, but taking it a step further, coming over here to really build out a solid program for helping each of you focus on also long-term business and traffic growth. Short process is to teach as much to as many as soon as possible, right? And to get this information in the industry out to you. We will be doing this in several different ways listed on the screen, from a new newsletter, which will be monthly, just to include industry. Everything changes so fast, just to keep you updated, or say proactively, we would let you know of a Google algorithm update. And although SEO gets a lot of focus, this first deck is SEO trends, what you need to be paying attention to most as a publisher in 2022 for SEO. It's only one aspect of audience development. So in these newsletters, you might hear of new traffic sources, new information, a new tip that's working really well to drive traffic from Pinterest or another source for publishers. We also are introducing a new Facebook group. We can get this link out to you in other ways as well. It's going to prompt you for a password, but this is in addition to what you're already using, which is this Freestar Collective Slack channel. Depending on your day-to-day, one is easier than the other. If you're already on Facebook, it's just a private group. It's going to be very non-promotional, just traffic tips, getting information, discussions with you. And then lastly here, future webinars. We have lots of these planned. There are, just so many topics and opportunities for publishers to really grow their traffic. So we want to get creative. It's not just me talking at a screen. I will pause throughout for Lauren to read questions if there are any. Continue to keep your account manager, always CC'd on any communications you're having. But I'm happy to engage as we go, throughout the months and the years together as partners to answer questions and support you from just, from the SEO perspective or traffic. We can even do webinars in the future with publisher participation. There's so many ideas here. All right. So my greatest challenge will be to get this all to you in 45 minutes is what I'm aiming for here. Lauren will keep me on track, but it's exciting. And the idea is for you also to be excited about traffic growth and about content strategies and your editorial and how you can further meet the needs of your audience. And so we will get right in, but I do not want to waste time either. All right, I'm going to try to minimize this. Okay. The screen looks good. You're going to hear some repetition. I feel like even saying certain things once is not enough. And to kind of set this stage for not only this webinar, but how you'll continue to hear me speak to search and SEO as an industry. There's a lot of crossover. I'm sure some of you would have great stories of how you tried something new, maybe for an SEO improvement, but you had traffic payoff and benefits in another area of traffic. When Google is looking at quality, many other platforms are as well. They want you to provide high quality content for your user. And so does Facebook and so does Pinterest. And so when I speak to it, it is kind of a very high level in which you investing your efforts into quality of your site and content in the best interest of your user will pay off in multiple areas. But if I had to bucket, and you can see it on the screen, 4 different areas where Google is focused on right now, these would be them. And this is publisher specific. Freestar publishers are an elite set of enterprise-sized publishers where you have a great opportunity and great responsibility and chances in the search results to really drive traffic and revenue. This is, of course, all in the best interest of your revenue and understanding that Google should not always set the rules that would hinder your own financial goals of your company. So to keep this in mind, it's just, your overall business comes first. As a publisher, you're focusing on 4 things. You have your technical best practices. This is your website structure, speed. Some of these actually go into multiple buckets. We'll talk today about your navigation. User experience is huge. That is something as an ad monetization platform we really keep in mind. It is not to go overboard just to make it an awful experience for your user. That is a short game, and to really value and find that middle line of pushing the limit of what you can and deserve to have in the revenue of your business, but also having a good, smooth user. Your audience is most important. And then Google cares a lot about right now this EAT factor. This stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. These are things like backlinks contribute to this. This is why we talk about things like authors on your pages and an About Us page. It's really the factors that make Google and understand that users prioritize your site or consider you an industry leader. And then the last one there is quality content. There's a lot to do here as publishers and just keeping your content maintained, what that means. The shortest answer of what is quality content is anything that adequately answers the user search query. is quality content. What I would say, looking at these all four together, you can have some factors like poor on-page SEO and poor, a little slower of a page. If you have the best quality answer and in the form of the content, you will likely outrank sites that maybe, you know, just a little faster, but don't have the, all right. Okay. Here's an agenda. Sorry, there's a technical difficulty glitch right there. Moving forward. Okay, back to agenda. These are the trends. These are the broad strokes, high level, what publishers are caring about that. And inside them are the tactics and strategies that will help you do better when it comes to these trends. Starting with mobile optimization. We also have long form content and content optimization trends that publishers are focusing on. Google EAT, we just talked a little bit about this and the importance of authority. AI, artificial intelligence, what role does that have? It's one of the more technical, more kind of confusing ones to work through. And then video, how video is a crucial element for your SEO in the coming year. All right. We are starting with mobile optimization. As all of you know, more users come to your site now on a phone device, a mobile device, than they do desktop. And because of this, Google created what is called a mobile first index, where they are grading and viewing your content based on what is on your device. So you should all be looking at your own website on devices from time to time to really understand what your user is experiencing. And in the early days, it was really just about being responsive and having that code that adjusted the page. And today, it's a much broader bucket of things you need to pay attention to when it comes to truly being mobile friendly. And these that you're seeing on the screen is a list of factors to consider. Some of them we touch a little more on today than others. Some kind of speak for themselves on the screen here. Responsive design, the navigation, readability, accessibility, speed, security. So that's HTTPS. Hosting, that's something you will kind of only know there, but investing in reliable hosting. Making sure the user can see the content, responsive images, web caching, that helps with speed, stylized links, clean, uncluttered. When it comes to mobile optimization, less is more. All right. Be sure to drop any questions you have as we go along in the chat. If I didn't already say that, we can go through them. If something's very relevant to the slide that I'm on, Lauren can jump in and read the comment since I can't see it. But otherwise, also at the end of this, we will have that script and we can go through and kind of address questions as well. Number one here is readability. This trend has become in the last 2 years, one of the more obvious ones that you're probably seeing and maybe not realizing when you're on your phone looking at different content sites. Readability is the quality of being easy. How easy is it to read this? And there are so many factors that connect these, the readability fact, what you see there on the left, the actual factors with low bounce rates, high time on site, not to mention, you guys, higher RPMs, because when a user is having a great experience on your site, it's clean, they're not getting pop-ups, they're not getting video playing, things along these lines as they're reading, they will continue to scroll and read. They're consuming more content and they will see more ads. So it's kind of a bonus, right? Because of course you want the first thing to be having your user a smooth experience on your site. So this is where you look at some things like font size. I've seen a heavy trend to a higher font size in your the 14, 16 point size font. I was looking the other day on the about properties and Spruce and some of these Refinery 29, you'll see large font sizes, good spacing, the very clean backgrounds should usually be white. One that we don't often think of as much as reading level, and you kind of speak to your industry, right? As you'll hear the phrase Google favors the niche. And I'll speak to this more in the Google EAT, but you are an expert in whatever it is you're publishing content on, or that is the idea. So you may be writing at a certain level that you don't even realize that it's kind of just a higher reading level when it takes into account the average reading level and what, the most amount of people should be able to understand. One of the major trends of this year is heading tags and keeping your article organized in a way that's helpful for the user. And then look at things like your link, your button size. Another very easy change to make on your page is if you have these large blocks of copy, to space it out, to have a paragraph break after like 2 to 3 sentences. And this can keep the user scrolling. All right. Another key factor in the success of mobile optimization, which is the trend, right? That's what the publishers are focusing on, making sure you're having a just perfect experience on mobile for your user. Now, when it comes to navigation, you also want to have it clean and simple. There's ways to have a different navigation version on your mobile, on your desktop than mobile. Ideally, it's consistent. Ideally, maybe you do have the same and it's very focused and simple. If you are truly publishing content on 5 subcategories for every category, and you end up having, 30 subcategories. If you're publishing content to those regularly, that's one thing. If you're not, and there's ways to tighten up the navigation, these elements are very important to Google to tell them, like the labels behind them, what's in your categories, your subcategories, holds heavy weight with Google to say what your site's about, what you're authoritative in. Then you want to keep that concise. You'll see a lot of hamburger navigation, that kind of menus. Another thing though is having a search bar on your site. This can kind of help your user navigate throughout if they have something very specific they want to look for on your site. Keep fonts and styling in mind, having a clean typography, having, again, it being white and normal in how you've labeled it in the navigation keeps that better. Once you get somebody on the page, once you have a user on the page, there's another set of navigation considerations to make for internal links and how you guide them down the path through the page and ideally to another page on your site. And then lastly, you want to think about how on a phone it's touch friendly, thumb friendly. Are your buttons big enough? Are the links? I'll still see sites that have like a light gray shade font versus the black normal, and it's hard to say for a user to tell that that's actually a link.
Sorry, Linz, we have a question coming in. Great. What if the search bar on mobile is in the hamburger menu?
In many cases, if the hamburger menu is prevalent, it's large, people are used to that, they would click there and see it, not the worst case. You can also have it kind of on its own widget within the page as a search bar at the top. That may be a best case scenario to kind of have it directly there. But if it's just right in your hamburger navigation and easy to get to, I don't think that's the worst thing. At least it's there and people do click into those hamburger navigations.
Thanks. That's all for now in the questions.
Thank you. And all right, so this is navigation. It's very important. And all of this is just, is there's a strategy behind it, tools, heat map tools to understand where your users go to on your site. All of those kind of help. All right. Now, when it comes to speed, I started in the industry SEO. I have a solid SEO background that it will, you can't get rid of those roots. You really do. You feel for the user, you understand that. And then on the side that I work at Freestar in ad monetization to kind of really empower and encourage the publisher to stand up for what they should be paid on. And speed is something to keep in mind. No matter what, a site having ads of your own, of any kind, from any network is going to be slower than one that has no ads. That's just no way around that. But really finding the balance between the user experience and what they'll accept from honest. I like to think that users are getting savvier and they truly understand that they have all this information at their hands at their disposal for free, except it's not free for the publishers producing it. And so to really kind of pay to play, I hope that's where it's moving towards. And as long as you're not just, overdoing it, there's other areas too. My approach for sure with publishers on this speed is to look in the other areas. I've listed some here. Before you go removing the ads, there's other areas to look in. Hosting can make a huge difference in speed. If your code is outdated, also plugin audits, images. Someone internally on our site asked what was, the number one reason when I'm digging deep into slow websites is to optimize images. I have another slide on more detail around that. And then there's tools that you can use to monitor. Last year, we of course went through Core Web Vitals, and Freestar had to build into the technology a solve for ads impacting the cumulative layout shift, any bounce on the page, and did so. All right, next is content optimization trends. And depending on your process, your editorial team, if you're using freelance, if you're using internal house writers, if you're using other tools and purchasing content, there's various ways you can optimize this to grow your audience and increase your organic search presence. All right, Google has been putting more emphasis behind image and image quality in the last 2 years than ever before. They redid how they had image search set up. Many of you may have seen this, where before it was like 2 or 3, if not more, clicks from their image search to the publisher, to the website page. And now it's 1. They also have advanced their technology on telling the quality of an image. You guys know these are bots. They can't see, quote, the image, or they haven't been, and it's gotten a lot more advanced. And then it also impacts user experience. So this is something that publishers have been investing more in, because if Google's putting attention around it, there's some added information in Google Search Console around images, then publishers will follow. So spending, the investment on a less stocky, doesn't necessarily have to be custom, but a higher quality image database can really help. And then it also, an example of where it would help search in another area is Google Discover. So Google Discover, many of you, I'm sure, have traffic from this. It is where on your phone, on your device in Chrome, the mobile app, based on your search history, Google will just prompt you suggested content. And that for this to even appear there, your minimum image width needs to be 1200 pixel, but it also helps on your mobile device. That's what helps that be able to be on your desktop in a larger size, but fit the screen as well. And so this is a really good area. If you're not putting images in your content, this helps with your search as well. The rich media assets of having not just blocks of copy, but really breaking up your text. So it's twofold. It helps on the search results page side, as well as your users and having them have a good experience on your site. And there's some best practices listed there. In the new Facebook group, going back for a second, the new Facebook group will also share tools. This came up. I've already spoken to publishers on what recommendations that we have on plugins or tools, compressor tools. And I had said Short Pixel, Imagify are two good ones. So that sort of thing will be shared in future communications around audience development. And I wanted to mention WebP. So there is web formats, like a next gen formats that have gotten popular. There was an issue with them. It was very hard if you wanted to convert your non or normal images to WebP. This is Google supported image code. It was hard to do it with WordPress, but they've gotten better. And I think now you don't have to actually convert. There's something happening there to make these more feasible. It might be something just you would consider down the line. I think they're kind of like the next going to be normal image format.
Lynn, sorry to pause you. We have a question.
Yeah.
My site standard largest image width is 900 pixels, yet I do see our content in Google Discover. Maybe 1200 is just optimal rather than requisite.
Yeah, I think that is the same. What they're doing could be adjusting it on their side as well. That would be also, are you putting it in, or we can ask this publisher if you're putting it in as full size when you upload it. I put that as number 9. If it's not hitting that 1200, but you insert it as full size, Google will adjust the dimensions to be even more responsive. So I think that that's perfect.
Okay. And then another publisher kind of asked something similar, 1200 pixels. The view area we have on desktop allows for 760 pixel images. I'm surprised about the minimum for that. That was from someone else.
Okay. Same with that on how it's inserting it, and make sure you're hitting, because I think you can choose medium, small, or full size. So continue to insert it as you're doing.
Great. And then they said, yes, we embed at the full size, usually 900 by 450, and rely on the CSS to scale.
Okay, great. There's a lot here. Oh, you see that content shared so much more when it has high quality images within them. All right, moving on to the next trend. This is, I would say, SEO, we've been talking about heading tags and using them. These are your H2s and 3s. Heading tags are on the back end of the code, but on the front end, you can tell what they are. They're indicated usually in a larger font size and possibly bold, just to grab the user's attention. Heading tags exist from H1 to, or in like originally there was H1 through H6. I really rarely see anyone using anything past an H4. So let's just, for this conversation, use heading tags. Think of H1, H2, H3. Telling Google, the design is to tell Google what is your main article topic. So if you're, let's say, a search-friendly evergreen topic, you have your headline. That's usually it defaults as the H1 as well. Title tag H1. Make sure that it is. And then throughout the post, you can have a mix of H2s or 3s. And the idea is to tell Google within that large piece of content, what is like the subcategories, the subtopics, and other most important things. Mainly here, so this is why the reason I think it's a trend now is that Google, again, is using all these different engagement factors on the page, how long your user's there, And on your device, we're scrolling. Users are scrolling. You're going to lose them without giving them a very organized, highly organized piece of content. So that's number one. There's the impact is that you are breaking up your content with the most important things and organizing it on the page for the user. It helps the readability. Number two is that Google recently in the last year has introduced what's called passage ranking. And this is where they're extracting they can extract a passage or a paragraph or a sentence from deep within an article versus just, maybe at the top or out of an FAQ page. They're getting better. Their algorithm is better at finding the answer, pulling it off the page and bringing it to the actual search results. I do talk a little bit more about rich snippets and featured snippets in the search results in just a minute. But with passage ranking, I like it better than your old standard answer box where it was just like, what temperature do I need to bake a cake? And it gives you the answer, which gives the user no real incentive to click through to your site, giving you traffic and revenue. This is a little different where they're only pulling like a partial of the passage. And it really still seems to encourage and prompt that user to click in, which is good. The more organized, just in general, the more organized you can be in your content layout, the more information you can provide Google. As this algorithm gets more and more advanced, it will be able to find your content more, including voice search.
Sorry, Linz.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a publisher who would like to go back to the image sizes. Is that okay, real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, could you clarify what you mean by insert as full size? Are you referring to a specific button in a CMS like WordPress?
Yes.
This publisher said we have a custom CMS and have a range of image sizes depending on where in the article they'll be displayed. Or do you mean to include the word full within the image file name and Google will pick it up from that?
Not that one. Nope. I think there's multiple CMS that have the option as in like a WordPress for sure. They allow you on the right of the media file of the image, you pick the size. And then can you repeat what the second point was?
Yes, absolutely. About the custom CMS. Is that the part you want me to repeat?
No. Go ahead.
Could you clarify what you mean by insert as full size? They're referring to a specific button, and they said they have a custom CMS with a range of sizes.
Okay.
Is that good? Okay.
The range of sizes, that's good too, because there's this in your structured data on the page, if you may, or even in the code, have a thumbnail and then a larger size, it's different size options. I know exactly what you're talking about. And if it is coded for that, that's completely fine.
Okay. And then someone else said, I think the meaning is that you insert the image as its native size. So width equals X and height equals Y would be the actual values of the file itself, not say the 50% thereof.
Good. Thank you. This is so great because we can go back in.
And I'm reading these, but for anyone who'd like to come on camera, you're welcome. And if not, I'm welcome to keep doing this.
Okay, images have a lot of opportunity to drive publisher traffic too. There's a good strategy around galleries and optimizing images and driving it from not only just standard search results, but also the image specific section. Heading tags here. When you are writing your article, if you don't know what to put, if you're, I just, the content I've already read on your guys' site is great. It doesn't seem to be the case, but to get even further ideas, there's checking the search results is a great way. I mentioned that several times throughout this deck, which will be made available to you. But to use the best tool is literally the free, in my opinion, Google search results, because they will put not only, you have your first rankings. How did they get there? What do they have? Before you hit publish, you should be Googling whatever topic. Think, what would someone search for to get this result? search for it, then use those, click around those, top results. And then also there's a section called People Also Ask. Google will pull in almost like the auto suggest tool. When you're searching in search results, they've incorporated them in the actual page to see other interesting things. Brief builders. This is a newer kind of tool that helps. It's on the AI side, brief builders, where there's probably using the same kind of extracting what people search most commonly for and offering suggestions of what subtopics to create to use in your content. But if you're not breaking your section out, I have seen this already as a good opportunity to work with publishers on here. If you're not adding subtopics throughout your article, and then actually don't just bold them. I've seen that several times. Don't just bold them, but actually making them using your CMS or your code to make them heading H2s and 3s. Google doesn't care which one you use. That helps. All right.
I have a quick question. This is Suzette with The Nation. Back to the search results, or when you're searching, in that scenario, does it break out, mobile versus desktop? Or are you, in terms of top results? It'd be interesting to know if that's the case. If you're on desktop, if you're searching differently than what you would on mobile, if you're looking at content differently.
Yeah, I think for some evergreen topics, I'm guessing they're using mobile data if I had to pick one, especially when it comes to recipe content or DIY and some stuff that somebody's trying to actually do while they're looking for instructions on their phone about it. I would bet they're using mobile, but that would be interesting to see a huge difference.
Yeah, I would think there would be some difference, right? But I don't know.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll only see one or two. It's important and some don't always make sense. Use your best judgment. Google, your brain is smartest, your content best. And so if the question doesn't, the people that it doesn't make sense to incorporate, certainly skip. But also if you click into them, it drops down more and it continues to give you more ideas. This funny, I was trying to prepare for this presentation and I happened to look and there was new information and I'm of course, right? It's always changing. That a new article on some industry source had just posted, and it was that Google's now released something on your phone that's people search next. So the idea that they're trying to provide any user that goes to Google with this queryless journey, I hate to call it, in which they can predict, they know, the user in their past so well that they can predict what they'll look for next. So by putting in the search results, I forget, it was they used an example of dentist near me, and then it pulled up results, and then you scroll down and then it said people search for next, and it said what is a root canal? What is all this other,
I'm always looking for a restaurant after that because for some reason I'm always hungry after that.
So true. And just they're trying to get ahead of even our own brains, and it is wonderful. But as publishers, we can certainly capitalize on all this opportunity they're giving us in the search results. There's such a busy place between videos and images, and structured data is the next two slides. Let me do a little time check here. The next two slides are on structured data, and there's several terms for this: rich snippets, markup, and I don't want to get too technical, but anything that Google has allowed to be added on the code of a website to enhance the search results. So that can appear in, when I'll give some examples: product reviews, right? You're on your phone, you search for a product and it comes up where it says like 5 stars right there on the results. This is before you ever take a click into a website. Recipes, that's a common one. Even, you know, the original source of structured data is even almost like a meta description, right? Whatever it says, it's you're trying to sell it. And then structured data options came along where it makes you be able to add like an author or your video to the search result page. These, I encourage you to, if you're working with a developer team, there's a couple things. First, there's a tool to tell what you're already running on your site. And then work with a developer to learn more on the documentation on how to get these implemented. They do make a difference. This is a trend that I've seen in, 5 years ago, very few sites were doing this. We started talking about it. And it's one where you do see a payoff happens a little sooner than some long projects like a migration or something like that. But by putting this code on the page, it really, it's getting Google organized data faster, and publishers should be capitalizing on these options. The most common I've listed there, you can have breadcrumb options. This is all again in the code. If you're using WordPress, there's plugins, of course, that Yoast has some. You'd see the option to put organization structure data. This helps with authority to set up on your homepage or maybe your about page the details of your organization. You can put who founded the company, your names, or, again, you were trying to prove that you are the expert on the topic you're writing content about. So to use all the different ways that they allow you to do that for your benefit. Article, number one most common structured data type is article. If you're publishing, it says who the author is and some other key pieces of the page. There's probably like 200 different types of code you can add. FAQ is one of the more popular ones now. This is if you're even on the page, sometimes, actually, let me skip forward here because this is a little more about it. This increases the click-through rate. 90% of sites that are featured at the top, either through passage ranking I talked about, the answer box when it's just a quick answer, recipes. Here I've listed the top 5 words in a search query that triggers snippet rankings. And when you're searching for like best mascaras, you're going to get some product features. Recipes, the carousel or the packs, the little 4 6 packs at the top. People that are looking to make things, definitions, what does this mean? It will display it straight directly in the search results. I listed some tools. And 90% so as we're talking about like all the ways to just improve your organic search performance, as you work into the top rankings, 90% of snippet positions, they are extracted from the first top 5 ranking spots. So if you're ranking 10, even on the first page, the odds are not high that you're going to be included in that. So a goal, this is SEO is a long game. I'm the always optimist and encourager of publishers to hang in there, to be consistent. Nothing happens overnight. If you've made a change to your content strategy or your website, taxonomy redesigned, and you're not seeing a lot of movement in 30 days, that's just the beginning. Big brands, big sites have been doing this forever. So when you make changes, can be consistent about it for search. Stay very just intentional in your process for how you're finding topics. I listed a few tools here to help better know what to incorporate into your blog posts or your content posts, article posts. And then I have been working with publishers who really have seen the benefit of implementing this. And these were some findings that are just that increase the chances of you actually appearing in the snippets. Think about you're trying to educate you and your content, whatever you are talking about in your article, is to inform. The better you do at informing the user, they're going to be happier with that post. And publishers are really leaning into like FAQ sections. When you, again, this is a scroller's dream to be, to find these broken out, these quick common questions. You can add the FAQ schema to those, and it increases your chances of appearing in the actual people also ask section, which can drive traffic. So this could be a project. Lots of the things that I talk about can be like little by little, month, in the next year, make it a goal to better understand these rankings, these positions, the opportunity, and what code you need to implement to increase the chances that they appear there.
Linz, we're at 146 here.
Okay.
Start wrapping maybe?
Yes. There's also at the top of the post, you can see now lots of sites have a table of contents, and that can help users understand what's there. All right. This I'm going to continue on. We can get this information out to you, but these are two just different. If you're looking at a page, the anatomy of a perfect post, article page, what should be included for evergreen content and news posts. Many of them I talked about today. Making them interesting is the goal. All right, next, Google, expertise, authority, and trust. This is where it's not that long that your brand, thinking of your business as a brand, an expert. This is where you used to be able to just have anyone write about anything on your site. Google has ways to really understand for the important things who is qualified to speak about it. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. If I've written on over the years on 15 different SEO industry related websites, I use my name, I include my bio, I include in all these different guest posts I've done, I've included social handles. Google has behind the scenes can link all that together to say, oh, okay, so when a user searches for SEO trends, who really deserves the authority to speak out on topic? Now there's topics that are called, I didn't even get into this, but it's your money, your life topics. These are the things that can have serious impact on somebody's life: medical, law, finance. You really don't just want anyone ranking. There's a liability of Google or like a hope that they would really try to find who's publishing accurate, truthful information. So they've used this kind of score to help evaluate that. And then there's some ways listed here that you can increase that. This is where I'd call out having author names on posts. If you're writing a post and you do not have, if you have by editors on every one, Google has said they don't give, they don't know who that is, right? So I've seen this one, this author, first, last name, bio pages, a social handle, many news sources. They'll include like a Twitter handle for their authors. Very important. About us page, that's low hanging fruit to go back in the next month, find your about us page, make sure it's updated. Don't hide your identity. Links have a lot to do with this as well. The backlinks pointing to your site. All right, artificial intelligence. I think there's only maybe 2 slides left after this. It's kind of going to play a larger role in the coming years, but there's 2 different ways to look at it. There's the side that Google has an algorithm running for artificial intelligence now. There's really no point to get into it. I actually want you to take away from this that you don't need to, really care or worry when you hear Google talking about an artificial intelligence. I forget the first one was called, maybe brain trust, something like that. It sounds big and scary, but if you're as a publisher out there creating high quality, helpful, usable content to your user, that's real, you will be okay. So that's takeaway number one. Number two, though, is, well, and there's 4 main metrics there. I wanted to call out pogo sticking as a metric. This is probably the number one thing that Google's looking at. Even if you are ranking, say, as a user, sometimes you click on something that does not answer your own query. What's the first thing you do? You back out of it to the search results and find another option. That's something major. That's not even, they don't talk about it in Search Console. They don't even talk about it, too much openly, but that's a major factor. Those engagement metrics, how long they're on your site, bounce rate, those will play a larger part. So again, not only quality content, but good user experience are important. And then content creation as a tool, AI-based tools are a thing of the future. I'm hearing a lot about them in various groups and areas where it's almost like the virtual assistant kind of thing, where there's tools that can help you better understand how to structure and what to write about. All right, last section is video trends. Having a video on the page is the number one most common factor between first page rankings. So what I've done case studies throughout the year. I did one last year on food blogs. I would click through hundreds and hundreds of them trying to gather the trend similarities I saw. I believe almost every first page ranking had a video, and it is not just that. It's the engagement. That's what I would say. And I don't know, sometimes we're jaded because we work in the industry, and I never feel like I watch too many videos when I see them. But that is not what the data says, that users do very much engage with video if you're not already doing them. Think about it. Yes.
We have a comment coming in here on clickbait titles. Hiring clickbait titles that don't answer the question is common. Just a comment.
Say it again. I'm all here for it.
High-ranked clickbait titles that don't answer the question is common.
And should be avoided. There's certainly different strategies for different traffic types. You do have to stay interesting and not boring. That is the thing about SEO. It doesn't mean you have to be a boring search titles. Clickbait, try to avoid, but I do get it. It's not a perfect system that sometimes you see them ranking. Google search algorithm recently said, it might've been John Mueller, it might've been somebody else, said that they, when it comes to their normal, like broad core search algorithm, they don't know exactly what the video is about. That said, before you go posting videos all over the place just to have it, think of the user, go back to, the long game of valuing the audience, think that they want to see something relevant. Probably that's if it's off the wall, they may not, not going to help, but on the engagement video, Google will still see it's on the page. And there's different options. Custom video is very expensive. It depends on your brand and your business. But there are more affordable options. There's running video ads without custom content. There's adding custom content, but doing it with certain tools that are like these DIY video maker, like Animoto kind of tools, and keep them helpful for the user. They should educate. Millennials love how-to steps. They need to be told exactly the next thing to do. They're all, so much search traffic is tied to step-by-step instructions, and videos go along with that.
Sorry, I always try to find the right time not to interrupt you. We have a direct question. How would you recommend incorporating videos and video ads in the same pages?
Ideally, the technology can run the ad before the content, right? But if you're talking of incorporating like a YouTube player, I wouldn't have multiple, maybe one, which you wouldn't be monetized. You could be monetizing directly through YouTube, but they're also very slow down the page. Using platform tools like JW Player, along those lines can also help compress it, have it smaller, be on the page. And also don't overdo it. You don't need multiple players on a page. They should really be there to educate. I still think the quick, like, I remember hearing like a brand get the message to the user in something like 12 seconds or less. It might have even been more, but still the quick little cut up images, video files do really well when it's a how-to or a recipe, short form.
And just real quickly, we use here at the Nation a video vendor. It's called Addicts. I think you guys use them. Freestar offers them, but we have a direct relationship with them. They're great if you don't have your own content right now, or even if you do have your own video content. Either way, they can accommodate a video player on your site, and it's really easy. We've had a great relationship with them.
Thank you. I've heard good things, and that is ideally you could have just your own playlist. They'll let you upload, have your own environment and dashboard in their systems, and be able to monetize it that way. You can have a video hub area that's focused just on direct video. I listed a few things here when you're creating video, having one on the about page that talks about your company, the evergreen content. That's perfect for seasonal and very the how-tos and DIY. There's the rich snippets or the schema around video. There's several advances here in the last year. The two latest kinds of markup is you'll see in the search results clips. That's what they're calling it, right? And you'll see it. There's like a little line and the times. So, Google's trying to get very advanced in understanding what's actually inside of a video. If somebody wants to see, there's one big project, but they want to pinpoint where a certain part is and really exposing that directly to the user.
And, sorry, yeah, we have some questions coming in. Okay. I'm going to go back. On the previous slide, you had FTW video. What is that?
Short form content for the win. Focus on short form content.
Great. And with link building, how important is it that the site linking to you is about the same topic?
Love. I'm gonna put links down as like a webinar entire topic I could spend talking about it. How important is it? Very important. I can give like a very white hat answer or more of a gray hat. I mean, it was so abused that Google has gotten good at just tossing out credits. If it's not relevant, there's a chance you're probably not even getting credit for it in the first place, in the sense of credit as it helps SEO. You might still get traffic depending on, that traffic model. It might drive traffic. But when it comes to link juice and a valuable link, it should matter, right? You do want to find legitimate partnerships and relationships with similar brands to link to each other and to showcase each other. Last thing on that, one thing I like real fast is that there used to be a very strong negativity about no follow links. And Google has now said, even with no follows, because brands will do them incorrectly, they still can give some link credit for those links. They kind of get it a little better than they used to. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Okay. Where did we go? Okay. If we don't have our own video to add, is it okay to embed others' YouTube videos on our blog posts?
Yeah, this is super common. You see it, right? You look at it in two different ways. Will it help the engagement of your page, as in the time on site metrics, your user, it doesn't matter where it came from. They see a video, it's quality, it's relevant. They may spend the time there and you could see metrics increase on your page. That said, they're getting paid for it. You know, they may be monetizing it, they may not. Also make sure check page speed, especially on that YouTube, to see how much it slows down your page. Otherwise, yes.
Amazing. I just want to be clear. I really am sending swag to those of you who have asked questions, so keep them coming. And I will be reaching out for the best mailing address to you.
Love. This is great. This is the first one. Also, you guys, this is the first one. So, as we all get more comfortable, get to know each other, questions like this can go into our Slack, into the Facebook group. These are going to be once a month. Laura and I are going to be hanging out and doing these. We may do other things like shorter office hours where you want to pop in and just chat. The idea is to support Freestar publishers in traffic growth, and SEO is one of many traffic sources that should be represented in your Google Analytics, but it impacts many other areas. There's a lot to explore, and I'm excited.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Linz, is that it from you today? Yep. Okay, great. Well, thank you all for joining. We will be following up with an email. You'll have access to these slides and many, many more of these, as Lindsay mentioned, and hopefully some fun things in the mix as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Feedback, welcome. I can't wait to get to know you guys, and talk to you soon.
Thanks.